Welcome to this super fast Blender tutorial. You can download it at www.blender.org. I'm working with 2.78 as you can see. I'll just click left beside this splash screen and we can start off with the 3D window. There are a few items here. You've got this box which is currently selected. You can see it by the orange highlight around it. You have a camera. I'll just right click on the camera. And now the camera is selected, and you have a light. I'll just right click the light and now this one is selected. Now that's the first thing you get to know. Right clicking is selecting things. Now if I left click in the screen, you see this little circle, which is the 3D cursor. I'll explain later. And then there's these remarkably annoying arrows out there. I'm going to remove them the first thing I do. I'll just go below to the buttons and click this little button here with the arrows. It's gone. Next is the pivot point, 2 buttons to the left. I'm going to select 3D cursor. This circle here is the 3D cursor. Now what does it do? It is actually, I set it as pivot point below here, and now every transformation you make, like rotation, scale and anything like that, is oriented around this circle. If I just right click the box again, I'm going to rotate it. I'm just going to press R, and as I move my mouse you can see it's rotating around the circle. So I cancel this operation by right clicking once more, and that's that. It jumps back to its original location. So if I set the cursor here, same for scaling. I press S and I just keep my mouse away from the cursor a bit, because then you can scale more accurately. If I put my cursor here and press scale, you don't have much movement. But if I keep my mouse here, press scale S, it's moving a lot better. So I right click to cancel and it jumps back. So that's scaling and rotation. Now let's move it somewhere. I'll just press G for grab, and now I'm moving the cube. But as you may have noticed, it's moving in a plane perpendicular to your view. If I want to move it within specific directions like X, Y or Z, I'll just press X and now it's moving along X. I press Y, it's moving along Y, which is the green line. I press Z and it's moving upward, downward. Holding down the control during this operation will make it move in steps, in discrete steps. Below on the left you can see it's at 3 steps from its original location. So it shows how much I move it in discrete steps. So you can more exactly place it. If I include Shift and Control together, the movement gets more refined. It's making steps of 0 point whatever. Along global Z in this case. I press X and you just have to press it once, you don't need to keep it pressed. And then I hold down Control and Shift and it's making really refined steps along X. Same goes for rotations. If I press R and I hold down Control, it's rotating at 5 degrees. In steps of 5 degrees, including Shift as well, it's moving at 1 degree. If you rotate and you press X, its axle of rotation is the X-axis. I can also press Control and now I'm rotating in steps of 5 degrees along X, around X actually. If I press Y, it's rotating around Y, Z. There you go. So during the operation you can press X, Y and Z, whether you're grabbing, scaling or rotating, doesn't matter. You can do that with any of these transformations. I'll just right click again and it's back. Now let me demonstrate scale as well. I'll just press S, it's scaling in any direction. If I press Y for instance, it's scaling along Y singularly. Or X, there you go, X, and in steps, holding down Control. Now let me open a file for a moment. Keys 01 in Open Recent. Here you go. There's a keyboard and these are the keys that we discussed so far. Now let's discuss View. If I scroll my mouse wheel, you will zoom in and out. If I middle click, so I click my scroll wheel and drag, you will rotate the view. And in combination with shift and middle click and drag, you pan the view. Those can come in handy quite well too. So now I'm panning over to the keypad or the numpad. There's a couple of keys there too. First off, keypad 1 is a front view. I'll just press it. Oh, and I'm gonna pan it in view again. Keypad 3, right side view. Keypad 7, top view. And in combination with control, it's going to be the opposite. So control keypad 1 is back view. Control keypad 3 is a left side view. Control keypad 7 is a view from below. Of course, I will provide a link to the shortcut keys on the website. And for now, we return to our cube and practice these keys for a moment. First, let's switch to a top view, keypad 7. And I'm going to center my 3D cursor to the object selected. If it's out here, for instance, I press Shift S. You get a menu, snap menu, and I'm going to select cursor to selected, which snaps the cursor to the center of the selected object. Now I'm going to spell out the word wall with these cubes. First off, I'm going to scale it in the Y direction. So I press the S key, followed by the Y key in the Y direction, and then I hold down Control as I move away from the cursor until in the bottom left I see the number 5. And I left click before I release the Control key. Because if I release the Control key and then left click, it might shift a little and then it's not scaled at exactly 5. Now I'm going to move it over to the left. I press the G, hold down Control key, and I could press the X key, but I can also middle click and drag in the direction, and then it switches to the X direction as well. So that's a faster way to do things. I'm holding down Control, I'm moving it to the left for 7 steps or so. And I left click before releasing the Control. In the top left of the view screen you can see top perspective view. The cube has a perspective to it. Well, this could be inconvenient for when you're editing. You cannot clearly see if points are perfectly aligned. So we're going to work in an orthographic view. You can either move to the view menu here, and it says here view perspective orthographic, and next to that you see numpad 5. I'm just going to press numpad 5, and now we're in an orthographic view. Now let's rotate this object. I'm going to snap my cursor to the object first, so Shift S, snap menu, and then I'm selecting cursor to selected. And now I'm going to press R, rotate. And since we're looking down from a top view, you're rotating along the Z-axis in fact. So I'm holding down Control key, and until I see, well, let's make it 15 degrees or 20, let's make it 15 degrees. And before releasing Control, left click. Now I'm going to make a duplicate of this object. I'll just press Shift D, and now I've got another block like this, and it's automatically in grab mode. Now I could position it somewhere, but I'm just going to right click so it jumps back to its original location, and I'm going to press R, rotate. I hold down Control, and now I'm going to rotate it 30 degrees to the other direction until bottom left 30 degrees, and before releasing Control I'll left click. Now let's scale it a bit. I'll just press S, hold down Control. Oh yeah, it's scaling in every direction. I just want the Y direction. I press Y, hold down Control again. I'm scaling it to say 0.4, 0.5, 0.5 is good. I left click before releasing Control. And now I'm going to place it G2 to the right and 2 downwards, something like that. Yeah. and I'm going to left click again. There we go. Now I'm going to snap to this block, Shift S, cursor selected. I'm going to duplicate it, Shift D, here we go. Right click and then rotate to the left 30 degrees, holding down Control, left click. And now I'm moving this one, G, to the right 2 steps. Now left click before releasing Control. Now I'm going to take this big block again, duplicate it, Shift D, right click to put it back in its original position, then rotate. And I'm going to rotate this 30 degrees to the right, left click before releasing Control, and now move it to the right, G, along X, let's say 6 steps. We have a W. Now let's continue with the A. So I just Shift D, double duplicate this one, and I'm going to move it, holding down Control, moving it to the right, let's say 4 steps, and left click. I'm going to snap my cursor to it, Shift S, cursor selected, again Shift D, and I could right click, but I could just say rotate. I just press R and holding down Control and left click, minus 30 degrees. Now I'm moving it to the right, G, 2, 3 steps, well let's make it 4 steps to the right, and I'm going to left click again. Now I would like to position my cursor straight in between these 2 bars, so I hold down Shift and right click the other bar as well, and now both bars are selected, and I press Shift S, snap menu, cursor selected, and my cursor jumps straight in between. And now it's time for another menu. I'm going to add a new cube. I press Shift A and you get the add menu. You can add a lot of stuff here. I'm going to select the top one, mesh, and you get another list, and I'm going to select the cube. And there it is. Now there appears to be no more room for the L, so I'm just going to shift over. I'm going to press Shift and middle click and drag to the left. So I'm making some room for the L here. So now I'll just select the big bar again, right click, snap my cursor to it, Shift S, cursor selected. I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to press R, 15 degrees to the right, and then left click before releasing Control. Now I press G, move it 4 steps to the right, left click again, and I'm going to select the small cube, right click the small cube, Shift D, duplicate, and I'm going to move it 9 steps right, 4 steps down. I'm going to left click, snap my cursor to it, Shift S, cursor selected, scale along X, hold and Control, and I'm going to scale it to 2. But you could also type it, by the way. So instead of holding down Control, I'm just going to go to the keyboard and press 2.0 and then enter. That's another way to enter translations and stuff like that. Now let's zoom out a bit and move the view to the left a bit. Shift, middle click and drag. And now I'm going to hold down Shift and right click the big bar for the L. Now both of these blocks are selected. I press Shift D, duplicate, and I hold down Control, moving it to the right. Let's say 7 steps and left click. And there you go. Wall. I do advise you to practice these transformations before you continue. Next we're going to edit shapes, and this is a skill set that's highly required. And this is the keys that we've discussed so far. I think I covered them all in this web page. Now let's start with a new cube again. I'll move to the File menu and I'll select New. Reload. I click OK. Here's the cube. And there are these annoying arrows again. Let's just remove them once more. and the pivot point as well, 3D cursor. So, well, this is quite annoying. Each time you start up with a new file, you have to do that. So we're going to File menu and Save Startup File, Control U. I'm just going to press Control U, Save Startup File. Now you don't need to do that anymore. In order to edit this cube, we're going to switch over to Edit mode. Below in the bar, you can see there Object mode, and I'm going to select Edit mode. But the best thing to do is actually press the Tab key, and you can quickly switch between the two modes. Now that I'm in the Edit mode, I could just right-click one of these corner points. We call them a vertex. And I can hold down Shift to select multiple vertices. If you have 1,000 vertices to select, you're going to be busy for a while. So we have a couple more selection tools available that I would like to explain right now. First, I press the Z key, and then you can work transparent. So you can select vertices from the back as well as the front at this point. And then I just press Z key again to switch back to a solid view. This is very convenient. Next, I can press A to select all or nothing. So I'll just press A and it selects nothing. I press A again, it selects all. If I just right click one of these vertices, I press A, it selects nothing. I press A again, it selects all. And I press C for circle selection. Here we go. I can scroll my mouse wheel to increase the size or decrease the size of the circle. Middle click to deselect vertices within the circle. I just click, middle click and drag. Here we go. I deselect. Now left click and drag to select vertices. I right click to end circle selection. Similarly, we also have box selection. I press the B. Now I'll just middle click and drag to deselect everything within the box. I press B again. I'll just left click to select everything or portion of the box. And finally we have lasso selection. I'll just hold down the control key and left click and drag. I can just select a lasso, something like this for instance, around the vertices that I need. And if I include Shift, I press Ctrl and Shift, and now I left click and drag. I deselect. In case you would like to practice these selection tools, here's a nice overview of them. Now let's start editing. I wrote the word wall. Now I'd like to build a wall. Let's make it a castle wall. First off, I'm just going to delete everything. I press A twice to make sure everything is selected, and then I press delete, the delete key. There's another menu. There's a lot of options there, but I'm just going to select vertices. So I'm going to select a front view, and it seems that we're in a perspective view again. So I'm going to press keypad 5, and now we're in orthographic view. And now you can see a grid in the background. That's very important later on. Now let's create a first vertex. I hold down the control key and just left click somewhere in the screen. There you go. There's our vertex. When I zoom in, you can see grid lines appearing, more refined grid lines. If I press G, hold down control, it's pretty clear I'm moving in steps of 0.1. Below in the left. I just right click and zoom out until those more refined grid lines disappear, and now I'm going to press G again and hold down control. Now I'm moving in steps of 1. I right click to jump back. So the more you zoom in, the more refined your steps will be. Let's start with extrusion. This is the most powerful tool in any design program, I think. I could hold down control key and left click again, and a single vertex becomes a line. I can keep clicking and I keep drawing lines, and that's most wonderful, but there's a better way of doing things. By the way, if I just select two vertices, a single line, control left click, a single line becomes a plane. Very interesting, but I'm going to do this differently. I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to revert back to one vertex, and I press the E for extrude. Now when I move, a single vertex becomes a line as well, but now I'm in grab mode, so I press the Z direction and I hold down Ctrl and I'm moving 5 steps upwards, something like that. I left click before releasing Ctrl, and now we have a line with length of 5. Now before we wrote the word wall, so now I decided to just design a wall, a castle wall to be precise. I just keep extruding, extrude, 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 extrude. I continue. This is a bit tedious, but never mind. There's a better way of doing it, but I'll explain later. Extrude. I could just duplicate and stuff, but I'm not going to do it right now. So this is a castle wall. Extrude downwards, and now I connect the first vertex with the last. I just press Shift, right click the first vertex, and now I press F, which means fix. So there's another shortcut key for you. Now I'm going to select everything. I'm going to rotate the view a bit and extrude along Y. Holding down Ctrl, one step in the Y direction is good enough. Now I'm going to fix this. I press F and I close up the wall. Let's take a top view. I'm going to select transparency, Z. I select nothing, pressing A, clicking box selection, like so. Now I'm going to rotate the view again, press Z again, and now I'm going to press F once more, and now we have a castle wall. I suggest you could try that too. Now as you can see, with just one single tool you can accomplish a lot of things already. But now we're going to continue. I would like to have a round tower attached to it. In order to do that, I'm going to select top view, keep at 7. I'm pressing Z for transparency. I hold down Shift, middle mouse drag, just center it a bit. I'm zooming in, like so. And I'm going to select these 2 points with the box selection. Now I'm going to snap my cursor to it. Shift S, cursor selected. I press A, deselect everything, press B, box selection, and I'm going to select these 2 points. Now I press Shift D, duplicate, and scale along Y, and I'm going to type in 0. Now it's a single line at the center of this wall. Switch back to top view again. Now this is going to be interesting. I'm going to scroll out a bit. I'm going to position my cursor in the center of the tower. I press G, take 2 steps to the left, Shift S, snap cursor selected, and now I'm going to press undo, Ctrl Z. So this line is back to where it was. Now I'm going to rotate. I press R. Let's say, hold on, Control, about 30 degrees. Box selection. And I'm going to fix this. I press F. Now back to top view, keep at 7. I press A. Box selection, this one. And I'm going to extrude again. Extrude. Rotate another 30 degrees, like so. Then extrude, rotate, holding down Control, another 30 degrees. And I could continue like that, but that's quite tedious, so I'm going to use another tool we have in the left. I'm going to scroll down with the scroll wheel and there's the tools. It's called spin. I just click this button and it spins the wrong way around. So I press Ctrl Z and I'm going to select a bottom view. Ctrl keypad 7. Now I press spin again. And now it's turning the right way around. However, this is a more refined shape than what we've done so far. So I'm going to change some settings. If you don't see this here, there's probably a plus below, and I'm going to click it. And this is the current operation that we're doing right now. I'm going to say in 90 degrees I need 3 steps. That's 30 degrees for each step. So, and I'm going to press the spin again. I'm just going to scroll here, press spin and spin. Now this last one I don't need. I just press delete, vertices, box selection B, I select these 4 and fix. Now I would like to have this tower on the other side of the wall as well. So in order to do that I'm going to need the 3D cursor, and I could scale it along X, a value of -1. I'll demonstrate. I'll just click this vertex, I'll shift right click the other vertex here, press Z. So I've got these both selected, and I'm going to snap my cursor to this area. Snap cursor selection. It's now straight in between, in the middle of the wall, the cursor. Now I'm going to select this round shape. I'm going to select front view, keypad 1, Z, transparency, select nothing, A, box selection, and I'm going to select this tower. Shift D, duplicate, and now I'm in grab mode, so I just right click and now I can mirror it. There's several ways I can do that. I could just press Ctrl M, that's another hotkey for mirror, and then below on the left in the bar it says select the mirror axis. So I could press X and then just enter or left click to confirm, and then I mirrored it. But there's an easier way in my opinion, but that's a personal matter I guess. I'm just going to delete these, delete vertices, and select this tower again, box selection, shift duplicate, right click to snap it back to its original position, and now I'm going to scale by -1, scale along X, and I'm going to type in -1, enter. So that's the same result actually. I could also just take a top view and just rotate the tower. It would be the same result as well in this manner. Now let's take a closer look at this little tower, because there are several problems here that we have to address. I press Z, so I'm in solid view. I'm going to move over, and if I press A, this tower is brighter on the inside than it is on the outside, not like the rest. That means that Blender does not know what the inside is and what the outside is. It needs to recalculate the model, because a face has only one direction in which it can be seen in most game engines and on most designs. So let's just press Ctrl Z. I'm going to press Ctrl N, normals. The normals are the direction in which the faces are facing. So I'm just going to press Ctrl N. It's recalculating the normals, and now it's like the other tower. And there's another problem. There's something wrong here. Let's take a closer look. I'm pressing Z. This tower is not part of the wall. It's not attached, unlike this one. Here you can see that all the lines are connected with this single vertex due to its orange shading here. If I move over to the other tower here, I press Z and right click one of these vertices and click again. As you can see, the tower is not connected. So we have to reconnect it. Now there's one way to do that. I just select everything, pressing A twice, and here's another menu. I'm going to press W. W is the specials menu. It's got subdivide, merge, hide, all kinds of things that we get to later on. But at this moment I'm going to select remove doubles. And then you have to pay attention to the top status bar somewhere remove doubles, it says back there removed 4 vertices. So it removed 4 of these vertices out here, and now as you can see they are all connected. However, sometimes if a vertex is slightly misaligned, you can specify a merge distance here. So for instance 0.1 for instance, but in this case 0.0001 is good enough. So it removed 4 vertices. Now I'd like to extend these towers a bit more. I'll select a front view, pressing A to select nothing, and transparent view. Now I'm going for box selection. I'm going to extrude this, extrude, Z, snap cursor selected, and now for a pointy roof I'm going to extrude again, Z, something like this. I'm holding down Control, left click, and now I would like to bring these points together in the center. Now look what happens. I'm going to scale and I'm going to type in 0, but it's now scaling towards the cursor. I just right click to undo this one. I could also scale in every direction except the Z direction, and that's what we need right here. I press scale and I could press X, and it's only extruding along X. Y, it's only extruding along Y. I can also press Shift Z, and now it's scaling along X and Y. If you press Shift Z, it scales not along Z, to be more precise. I can type in 0 and enter, but now also these vertices are not connected with each other either. If I click, it doesn't do anything. If I press Z, I'm zooming in a bit, and right click, as you might have noticed, these are not connected. So I just press B, W, remove doubles, and it removed 12 vertices. Now let's do the other tower, just in a different manner. I'm going to box select, first press A to deselect everything. Here we go. I'm going to select this area, extrude Z, extrude Z, sort of like this. I'm going to select another new menu, which is merge, the merge menu. I press Alt M, merge, merge at cursor, center, collapse. In this case I'm going to select at center. Bang. All the vertices are joined together at the center. It's that easy. Now let's take a look at this tower. It doesn't look like much of a tower just yet. It looks more like a grain silo or something. So we have to tidy it more and make it more detailed. And first I'm going to select this roof and I'm going to make some adjustments to it. Well, there's 3 more menus, which are pretty simple. You have the faces menu, just press Ctrl F and you have a faces menu. There's a lot of tools in here that you can use, and I suggest you check them out a bit if possible. Some have shortcut keys and some of them are pretty useful to know by heart. And there's the edge menu, Ctrl E. There's also a lot of tools here, edge slide, add loops, add rings. Oh dear, don't get me started on those. And we've got the vertex menu, Ctrl V, and this is the one I'm interested in mostly at this point, because, well, we learned how to merge things together. Now I would like to separate them as well. If you go to the vertex menu, Ctrl V, well, the top one is Alt M, it's merge. We've been through that one already. Now you also have rip and rip fill. I'm going to split. I'm going to split these vertices. It's got this shortcut key Y, so I'm going to use Y. And if I press G, it's separated from the tower. Now I'm going to right click this top vertex. I'm going to snap my cursor to it. Cursor selected. And now I'm going to press Ctrl keypad plus, which is select more. Ctrl. And what it actually does, it's selecting the adjacent vertices to the one selected already. But if you don't remember exactly how it goes or how it was, you always have these face, edge and vertex menus, and below in the bar you have the select menu. You can always browse through that, and there's a lot of familiar choices here already. Ctrl I, inverse, A, D or select all, circle select, border select or box select as I said. So, and there's also select more or less, control key, control numpad plus select less. There's quite a few options here. So now I've selected the entire thing and I'm going to scale. Let's say I'm holding down control in the bottom left. It's gonna be 1.3. Now let's select the front view, keep at 1. And there I notice that these lines are not exactly straight through the middle. They should be. However, I know what's happening. This is not a perfect circle. If I'm take a look at this area here, top view, it's not a perfect circle, so the center is not perfectly centered as well if you snap your cursor to select it. Now that's a problem. So let's go back, Ctrl Z, like so. I'm just going to select these two, snap cursor selected. I'm going to select X, 0, scale, enter, snap cursor selected, Ctrl keypad plus, scale 1.3, and now it's okay. Yep, that's a lot better. Now I'm going to snap my cursor to there, below, scale the tower, scale Z0, here you go. And now I'm going to fill this up, but I'm not going to use F, I'm going to press Alt F. This is a much nicer fill. If I just press F, it fills the entire area in between, but that's not what's supposed to be, so I'm going to press Alt F. Sometimes Fix doesn't work properly, especially in situations like this. So I'm going to press Alt F. Now, a front view, I'm going to put some beams below it. So I'm going to zoom in, Z, duplicate, to extrude, 1, 2, 3, extrude, 1, 2, 3, 4, extrude, like so. Control keypad plus, 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 side view, G, extrude, A, select this, fix, and there you have a beam. Now I'm going to show you a feature of what more spin can do. I'm going to select snap cursor selected, and I'm going to select this beam, Control keypad plus, keypad 7 top view, and now I'm going to spin it again. I press spin, and I'm going to select dupli. I'm going to say 6 steps, and I'm going to click 360 degrees, enter, and now it's spun this beam in dupli mode, so it made duplicates all around. And see, there is here, okay, I press everything, normals, Control N, and now it's okay, I guess. So that looks more like a tower. There's just a slight problem, however. If you're designing to 3D print this model, for instance, or well, it used to be a problem in game design as well, it must be a complete solid, which it's not. If you look at the bottom of the tower, it's not filled up yet, so let's just fix this. And this one as well, I suppose. Fix. So these towers are solid, but the beam's not a solid either. It's not connected to the tower whatsoever. It's just a loose thing, a loose couple of faces here, and it's not solid either. So we're going to fix that. And there is a very nice tool for those things. I'm just going to fix this part. Ctrl keypad plus, B, and fix this part. Plus, plus, plus. There you go. And I'm going to select all these. Ctrl P plus plus plus, delete them. And I'm going to spin this again. Top view. Oh, here's another one. Delete vertices. Let's make sure everything has got proper normals. Right. Ctrl keypad plus. So, there we go. And now I'm going to duply spin once more. I don't know why it didn't. 360 degrees. So these are all solid beams, and I have to integrate them with the rest of the model. Delete these vertices. There you go. I have to integrate them with the rest of the model. Ctrl keypad plus, and that's a Boolean operation. You can join or intersect objects with each other with Boolean intersection, which is part of the Faces menu, I think. Let me see. Ctrl F, Faces menu, intersect Boolean. I'm going to select this, and now it's making intersections. It's not working out. I'm going to select here in this window. I'm going to select Union, but it's not doing too well. I'll show you why. I'll just press Ctrl Z, undo, side view. It cannot unite these because these are not sticking through the object. I just have to move it up a little bit like so. And now they're inside the object, and now the Boolean operation will work better. So let's try this again. Ctrl Faces menu, Ctrl F, intersect Boolean, and now it merged them together perfectly. Except for this one though. Let's just remove this vertex. And I could clean it up a bit. But this is quite good already. Now let's make sure there are no doubles. I'll just press A, W, Specials menu, remove doubles. And it still removed 13 vertices. Wow. Anyway, there's another problem. I'll press Z. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza. So I'm gonna have to select all these vertices by hand or with circle select. And these are not so many just yet, but this is difficult and there must be a faster way. Well, there is. I'll just do this. There you go. That's all. I right click an edge and hold the Alt key pressed, and it selects an edge loop, as they so of speak. So that's another convenient way to select things. And now I just press F and it's done. Now let's see if there's anything else wrong with it. I'll just press deselect everything. I press A, zoom out a bit. There we go. And now I'm going to the select menu and select by trait non-manifolds. And there it is. There's a lot wrong with it still. I'll just press Z. And let me take a look at this. Yeah, inside this object there is a face here. That isn't visible. If you put this under a printer, it might get confused with that. So it doesn't know what's inside, what's outside. I have to delete this face. And there's probably one here as well. Yeah, there's a face inside here too. Let's just remove that. So now it's completely hollow, I suppose. Let's just remove an edge, for instance. Delete edges. Yeah, it's completely. Let's remove this edge, delete edges. It seems like it's completely hollow now. So I'm going to select the edge loop. I press Alt and right click. And now I press Alt F and it's filling it up. Okay, that's good. Now let's see if there's any other non-manifolds. So select menu, select by trait, non-manifold. You could also use Shift Control Alt M. That's a handful though. And there's still a tiny thing wrong with it out there. Let's zoom in on it. I can use keypad period and it will automatically zoom and center the selected keypad period. That's another interesting option. And there's a face inside here too. Well, delete faces. So now it shouldn't have any non-manifold. Control Shift Alt M. Dear goodness. Yeah, it's completely cleaned up right now. Now let's continue with another great tool, the subdivision. I'll just get to solid view. Here we go. And I'm going to select two edges to subdivide. You might already have seen it. Below the three buttons here, I'm going to select the middle one, edge selection. Let's just pick up some random face here, two edges. These two, for instance, I'm going to subdivide these two. W subdivide. There it is. You might have seen it before. Now I'm going back to vertex selection. Snap my cursor over here, cursor selected, Shift S, and scale this, scale Z 0. There we go. And now I can just remove this face, or let's just extrude it first from a top view, Z, extrude, and well, we're done. We have a window in it. It's not a beautiful window, but it's a window. You know what? I'm going to make it a nicer window. Alright. And I'm going to introduce you to another tool, which is proportional editing. First of all, I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to face selection. I'm going to right click this one and press delete vertices. So this window is gone. I'm going to select vertices. I press Alt and I select an edge loop, just like before. You can, with Alt, you can select an edge loop like this one, With Alt and Control together, you select an edge ring, which is this. Well, that's quite beautiful as well. Just select an edge with Alt or Alt Control and you will find out. Now, I'm going to fix this for a moment. Fix, snap cursor selected. And now I need inset faces. So I press the I for inset faces. Watch this. I have an inset face. I'm just gonna hold Shift for somewhat more refined motion. There we go. Something like this. And now I'm going to select an edge ring. But I'm going to select faces, face selection first. Here we go. Let's deselect everything. I'm going to select this edge here. I press Alt and Control together and I'm going to select these faces. And this is an edge ring. Alt and Control. Now I'm going to extrude this. Extrude just a little bit, like so. Now this is a much nicer window. And now here's where the proportional editing kicks in. First, I'm going to edge selection. I'm going to select an edge ring again. I press Alt and Control. I select this edge. And I've selected all the adjacent edges, or at least all the parallel edges. That's what an edge ring does. And I only need the top ones. I don't need these. I just middle click. There we go. I just need these, and I'm going to subdivide. W. Subdivide. And in the left, this operation, you can specify the number of cuts. So I'm going to select 5 cuts. And now I'm going to show you proportional editing. I just select an edge loop, press Alt and this edge. I've got all these edges selected. I'm going down to this button here below, this circle. I'm gonna select connected or enable anyway. Let's enable it. And this is what they call proportional editing mode. Well, let's see what happens. I press G, along Z, upwards. And now I can just define the strength of it all. You know, everything is moving along with it. That's ugly. That's proportional editing. You can select a pattern. I'm going to say inverse square, for instance. G, Z, G, Z, but it's too much. I'm just gonna scroll until just the window is moved. Something like this. Something like this. Yeah, that's good. So this is proportional editing. And I can turn it off, disable, and now this is a much nicer window already. Just to clarify just once more what the difference is between an edge loop and an edge ring, I have edges selected right now, edge selection mode. If I press Alt and click this edge, it's selecting an edge loop. If I press Alt and Control and select, for instance, this edge, it's selecting an edge ring. Now I can just go to vertex selection mode and the entire window is selected. Same as for faces. If I select an edge ring for faces, it's going to be like this. Now with regard to proportional editing, I'm going to veer off a bit. I'm just going to hide this, select all, hide. I'm going to design a car wheel. So I'm just going to create a new vertex, front view, snap selection to grid, snap selection to grid, there we go, snap cursor selected, and I'm going to extrude, 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 because with a car wheel is a perfect example to show some proportional editing. I'm going to move this, say 5 steps, like so, duplicate, and I'm going to move this another 10 steps, like so. Selectable, here's loop selection is again. Top view spin. Spin, and let's make it 6 steps. Spin, spin, spin. Select all, remove doubles. So now I have 2 rings here. Now it's time to create the spokes of the wheel. I'll take the top view, transparent view, Z, I'm just going to select these for the spokes, a little bit smaller maybe, sure, this is for the spokes. Now I'm going to extrude, the outer ring is 15, the inner ring is 5, or actually 10 and 30, so I'm going to have to scale 3 times, scale, Shift Z 3 times, and oh, I forgot something. I'm gonna press this button. It removes doubles automatically. Let's try this again. Extrude, scale, Shift Z 3, enter, and now it's merged. Now I delete these faces and it's hollow. Now I'm gonna make a copy of this, duplicate, rotate Z 90, and a ring selection again, Control Alt, and I use Shift for multiple ring selections, so like so. Duplicate, rotate Z 90 or 180. These are the spokes of the wheels, and now I have to remove these faces in here. Let's do that. Multiple ring selections, Control Alt Shift. I'm going to faces, deselect these faces, and now I can just delete those. And now we have this. This is the inside of the rim of the car wheel. And now I'm going to use another trick. I'm going to extrude these two. Extrude. Right click. And now I'm going to scale it in 1 step. Now how can I do that? Scale, I can just try and do it like this, but it's Shift C. That's difficult. I'm going to use a calculation. The outer ring is 30, and if I want to extrude this 1, I have to use 32. I press the asterisk on top of the keyboard, Shift 8, asterisk, and now I can calculate how much it should scale. I press 32 divided by 30. You can see it below in the screen. I press enter. And now this section here is exactly 1. There we go. Select all normals. And now I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. G, like so. And I'm going to design the tire itself. Extrude. Snap cursor selected. Scale. Sort of like this. Yeah, G. Extrude. Fix. It's a little bit exaggerated, I think, but never mind. Scale Z, sort of like this. That's good enough. Snap selection to grid. Yeah, this is good. I'm going to switch my cursor back to the center. Snap cursor selected. So now I'm going to spin this. 7. Spin, 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 spin. A, remove doubles, normals. So it's like this. That's the tire. And now I'm going to use proportional editing. First these spokes. I selected edge selection mode, and now I selected all the edges of the spokes. So I'm just going to subdivide these. Subdivide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Select the center here, and now I'm going to rotate with proportional editing on, of course. Rotate and scroll my wheel a bit, sort of like this. Oh, that looks nice. Gonna lower this a bit. G. Oh, proportional disable. Sort of like this. Right. Plus, yeah, that's what I need. And I'm going to turn it on again. Connect it. G. I could make it sharp. And there you go. Now just close it up. Extrude. Right click, Alt M, merge at center. The other side as well. Extrude, Alt merge at center. And now I'm going to use a new tool, which is a bevel. I'm just going to right click this edge. See, its loop selection is very, very handy. And I'm going to press Ctrl B. Now, as I move away from the mouse, you can clearly see I'm beveling things. I can just start typing. Let's say 1, for instance. That's a bit big. 0.5. Right. The other side as well. Sure. Ctrl B. 0.5. There we go. There's a bevel. Now I'm going to subdivide these edges. Just edge selection menu. These edges. W, subdivide, another 5 cuts. Yeah, that's good. And I'm going to select this. Snap cursor selected, rotate. Z. Like so. Selecting the outside edges, rotate Z. Like this, for instance. Now, with these selected, I'm going to extrude these faces, but I'm going to extrude them individually. Now, how does that work? Normally you just press E to extrude. Now I just press Alt E to extrude individual faces. And just slightly. One is good. Enter. And now I'm going to bevel them as well. Ctrl B. 0.5 again. 0.3. 0.3 is nice. Let's extrude them 0.3 as well. Alt E, extrude individual faces 0.3. And now bevel 0.3. G. And now they're all connected. And we have a tire profile here. And that's it actually. I forgot to mention, however, the bevel has several options as well. So if I'm going to select at this point, snap cursor selected, I'm going to disable proportional editing, I'm going to scale Z0. So I don't need these edges anymore, and I could just delete them, and then I have to fill this area up again. I don't want to do that. There must be a faster way, and there is. I press X and you have a delete menu. Instead of the delete key, I press X, and I'm going to dissolve edges. Let's see what happens. They're gone, but the structure remains intact. So now I'm going to select this edge again and bevel again, say something like this, 0.5 or something, enter. And on the left here you have this menu where you can select multiple things like segments. I'm just going to increase the number of segments. It's more rounded now, but the profile is very interesting as well. I can just bevel inwards, for instance, like this. Now when I press Alt H, just deselect everything for a moment, Alt H, there's my castle. It's a bit tiny compared to the wheel, but never mind, it doesn't matter. I just want to separate the wheel as a separated object. So what I do is I invert this selection, Ctrl I, and I'm going to separate this by pressing P, separate by selection. And now it's a separate object. I just press Tab, switch to object mode, and I can select these as individual objects, as you can see. So I can now hide this object for the time being. Hide, press H, and we can continue with this. Now you might feel a bit overwhelmed with all these shortcuts, but it's actually the top 6 entries in here that you need to be concerned about. The rest is, you can find them in the tools panel or in menus or whatever. So you don't need to remember them all. Actually, if I just use extrude and fix and, well, your transforms and such and spin, you can do most designs just like that. I could do these towers in 2 minutes with just these tools. You know what? I'm kind of inclined to try this. 2 minutes, these towers. So, on your marks, get set, snap, selection to cursor, extrude, keep it plus, like this, 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 like this. Man, this is tedious. Select all, snap to grid. Here we go. Z, Z, B. Fix, 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 normals, duplicate, snap, merge at center, front view, extrude, like this, extrude, extrude, like this, snap cursor selected, top view, spin, dupli 6, let's make that 12, like so. Remove doubles, normals, fix, here we go. Let's go here, snap cursor selected, shift add, cube. I'm going to add a cube. Here it is. B, G, sort of like this. Yep. Snap cursor selected, spin, and let's make a duplicate and then 6 of them, like so. Delete vertices. And we have a tower, snap cursor selected, duplicate mirror, or scale -1, scale -1, and here's our towers. All, well, 8 seconds to spare, but it's not complete, of course. Alright, now 2 minutes are up, so I do have the towers, but I still have to merge them together because these are not solids. This is just loose geometry. These all are loose geometry, so I'm just gonna use this Boolean operation here. These Booleans first, faces, Booleans, intersect Boolean. That's a union, that seems right. W, remove doubles, normals. Of course, there might be an error in there. Let's see, non-manifolds, nothing. It's perfect. Oh, beautiful. Alright, so now I have to connect these walls. So what I'm going to do is this. Scale X a little bit wider. Maybe. These faces are coplanar, or however you may call it. I just have to move it like this. And when I do this, intersect Boolean, I can just delete these edges, I think. I could do that, delete these edges, but I'm missing some parts of it. But you know, I'm clicking this one and I'm keeping Control pressed and then click this one. Now it's making a complete loop from the first to the last vertex that I selected. So fix this one. Let's show it once more. I click this one, I rotate, hold down Control and click the other one. And it's selecting an entire loop from first to last vertex. Fix this one and fix this one. Normals. Let's see if there's non-manifolds. Nothing. Okay, I'm done. So you've seen I mostly use just extrude and fix, and the transforms, the selection tools, and spin. That's mostly what I use, and I could design anything with that. And there's also, of course, the proportional edit. It's a nice addition, as well as the auto remove doubles and the face edge vertex selection. So other than that, you can find things in the toolbar on the left, and here's some menus: add menu, specials menu. But these subdivisions, subdivide, remove doubles, they're in the toolbar as well. And then there's the faces, edge and vertex menu. Splitting things can be convenient, and the bevel, of course. But yeah, that's it. So let's continue with this tower. If I look at this tower, I don't see a tower. I see something more like a firecracker or something. Let's make it a bit nicer. Let's say I'm going to vertex selection. I'm going to select this window. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to delete it all. Delete vertices. Now it's completely gone. Yay! I'm going to snap my cursor to this area. I'm going to extrude scale Z0. There you go. Now I'm going to extrude again, and now I have a couple of vertices that don't make sense. These
I don't need. I can just say, click these three, click the last one, Alt merge, add last. Sure, why not? Okay, snap cursor selected, extrude, scale, Shift C, G, sort of like this. Extrude again. So we have this tower. Just adding a little bit of decoration here. And I'm going to make a very pointy tower. Extrude, merge at center. So this is a very pointy tower. Snap cursor selected, keep at plus. I'm going to split it. Y. Scale, Shift C. Sort of like this. Right. Now some ornaments. The beams again, but kind of differently. I'm going to take a look at the side view. Duplicate. G, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it like this. For instance, snap cursor selected, like so. Now I'm going to press spin the wrong way around. Well, you can do two things. I can move here. I can say the axis is 1, and I could make it -1. Let's do that. I'm going to turn on proportional editing, connected, and I'm going to select smooth. I'm going to select this one, G. Too many points. Let's spin this again. The other way around. Okay. Control, keep at 3. Spin. That's better. But I don't need so many steps, so I'm just going to reduce it a bit, like 5 steps or so. G. Something like that. Yay! G. Proportional editing off, disable. Extrude. 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 It's not, you know, this is fix. Yeah, that's good. Who cares at this moment? So it's sticking inside the model. I'm gonna snap my cursor to this. Control Z, jump back to that. Front top view, and I'm going to spin dupli. So spin. That's going to be 6 over 360 degrees. I don't even need spin dupli. It seems to recognize that this is a single solid. So it already automatically says, okay, you want to do spin duplicate, I suppose. Well, very nice. Normals, like so. Yay. And then there's this. This is quite annoying as well. I don't need these lines. C. I pressed G twice. Bang. There you go. It's gone. Well, G, if you press G, you can move it around. But if you press G twice, G, I can move it along G, I move it along a line, like so, or this direction. Similar here. Let's just press G twice, I can move it along here, or along this line, or along this line, or along this line. So, in this case, if I press G twice, G, it's fixed. Pressing G twice. So I'm just doing it for all of them, except this one. GG. And this one. GG. And they're gone. It's that simple. So, okay, that's another tool that you find out about now. Yeah, this is looking somewhat more like a tower.
Now I'm going to give this roof a little bit more detail because I think this is a bit flat, right? I need to change that a bit. So I'm going to make this a proper roof. I'm going to snap my cursor to this area, Ctrl keypad plus this area, and I'm going to split it. Ctrl V, vertex menu. I'm going to split these vertices. That's it, split. Now it's a separate entity. Now front view, I'm going to give this roof a little bit of an edge. Scale, something like this. And this is going to be the inside of the roof. It needs tiles or something. So I'm going to flip the normals, because now they're facing outward. Ctrl face menu, F, flip normals. And as you can see, it's darker now. And now I'm going to use another nice tool, which is solidify. It's also in the faces menu. Ctrl F, faces menu, and solidify. Now you don't see much yet because it's very thin. It's a very thin wall which it's created. So I'm going to the thickness, I'm going to select 0.1, and now it's got actually, it's a solid roof. Just gonna invert, hide. See, it's a cone. Now I'm not going to use this vertex here. Delete vertices. Alt H, unhide. And now we have an opening here. This needs to be closed up. However, fix will not do that. Alt F maybe. Yeah, in this case it does. But in case it doesn't, well, let me give you an example, for instance. Fix, like so. Seven. I'm going to 3, 4, 5. Fix. These loops, I have the same amount of vertices, but I've Alt F. Wow, Blender has gotten better, didn't it? But okay, there's a tool here. Ctrl E, edge menu, and it says here bridge edge loops. However, you have a lot of options here. I could twist it, increase the number of cuts, and I could smoothness, profile factor, so there's a lot of stuff you can do with bridging edge loops. Just delete vertices. In this case, Alt F did fix the whole thing, but I'm going to use bridge loop in this case. Ctrl E, edge menu, bridge edge loops, and we're done. So now it's got some more detail to the roof, which is pretty nice. This wall is much too small in relation to the tower, I think. So let's make a bigger wall. I'm going to edit mode. I'm going to delete this rocket here, this firecracker. Let's just pick this up. Duplicate. Extrude. B. Fix. Snap cursor selected. While I'm at it, I can just as well copy the tower as well. Duplicate, mirror, recalculate normals. So this looks a bit better.
still a bit small, this wall. YG. Sort of like this. Yeah, sure. Delete vertices. G. Yeah. Alright. Remove doubles. You didn't remove any doubles. Oh, therefore. There. Fix. Fix. So let's make 2 more towers. Snap cursor selected. I'm gonna create a new vertex. Snap selection to cursor. Snap cursor selected. Jump back to the vertex. Rotate 90 degrees. Snap cursor selected. Delete this vertex. Select everything. Duplicate. And mirror this way. Recalculate normals. I'm going to remove a couple of vertices. For instance, this one and this one, as well as this one and this one. Delete vertices, and now I'm going to select the walls. Keypad plus. Yeah. Snap cursor selected. Duplicate, rotate. Just a second. Keypad plus. Duplicate, rotate. And there you have it. Remove doubles. Nothing. So, my castle is complete. Now I'd like to put it on top of a mountain. So I'm going to create a mountain. First off, I'm just going to determine the size of the thing, and let's say something like this. This area. Fix. Snap selection to grid. Yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna move my... yeah, that's fine. And I'm going to hide this area. H. And now I'm going to subdivide this thing. Normals. Subdivide. W. It's also in the menu here somewhere. Subdivide right here. I'm going to give it 10 cuts. And I'm going to subdivide it again. And again. And again. And again. Again. Ooh, that's a lot of vertices. So now I'm going to select a couple of points here. Sort of like this. Proportional editing is on, and I'm setting it to smooth, for instance. And now I'm going to press G, Z. And I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel until, well, I've got something here. Let's press G again. Well, these look like mountains somewhat. Like that. Top view, I'm going to select a couple of new points here. Something like that, for instance. G, Z. G. Oh, that looks like a mountain already. Let's see. G. GZ. Yeah. GZ. Let's select a sharp fall off. Let's see what happens. GZ downwards a bit.
going to do something really funny. I'm going to add a random fall off, which means a lot of points here. Something with a random fall off. So around these areas, for instance, random GZ. Oh my goodness. Something like that. It's a bit messy, so I'm going to smooth things over a bit. W smooth. That's getting better. And now I'm going to reduce the number of vertices. That's a special tool again, of course. I'm going to look at it. It says intersect boolean. Well, I don't need that. I need decimate. It's called decimate. There it is. Decimate geometry. And here it says how much of the vertices you would like to have removed. I'm going to say 0.01. And as you can see, we've got ourselves a mountain. Now let's put our castle somewhere. I'm going to deselect Alt H, and here's our castle. I'm going to separate this selection, make it a separate object. Press P, separate. And now I'm going to move it, say, object mode G, somewhere over here. Front view, somewhere over here. This is a nice area where it should fit. I'm going to make it a little bit higher. Oh, disable G, sort of like this, so that it sticks in everywhere, like somewhat like this. Top view, selecting the mountain. Oh, wait a minute. Snap cursor selected. Here we go. Proportional edit on. Smooth. Scale Z 0. I could just GZ, a little bit smaller. G, let's see, G. So now this castle is really sticking in there. G, Z. Yeah, so now that's that. So up to this point we just used extrusions and some design tools and stuff, but there are other methods to create shapes and such, and one of them is sculpting. I'm going to carve a path through this mountain, and I'm going to use sculpt mode. So instead of edit mode, we get sculpt mode. Now I've selected the mountain, I think, and yes, sculpt draw seems a nice idea. I'm just gonna increase its strength to 1 just to exaggerate a bit, and let's look what happens. So if I draw, you can see it's adding. I'm just drawing the mountain out like so, and this is nice, but you can see if I start drawing on the right side, it also draws all kinds of stuff, and that's not very good. That's because there is a symmetry lock. I'm going down there and I'm going to disable the X mirror, and I'm going to say, well, let's do this again, right? I'm just going to draw, but look at what happens here now. This is a bit funny. This shouldn't happen either. So I'm just going to redo everything. I'm going to select dynamic topography. Now it adds to it. I'm going to show you again. Now I'm going to draw here, and as you can see, I can just, it refines the mesh as you draw along this side of the mountain. And now I can select subtract. Let's just remove instead of add for a minute. That's funny stuff. I'm carving out a path, as you can see. It's a bit crude right now, so I have to do that over again. Anyway, this is how it works. So now I'm going to join this castle with this mountain. Ctrl J, edit mode, and now I'm going to cut out this castle from this mountain. That's Ctrl Face menu, intersect boolean. Let's make it a union, like so. Going to snap my cursor to this area. See, you know, I could just scale Z0. I can turn this off for a moment, and I would like to make this flat again. So I'm going to select these, C, 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 like so. See, I don't need these. So I've got the inside for, oh, there's another one. Like this. I'm going to hide these, and now I can safely select all of these and scale Z0. So that's done. And Alt hide. Alt hide. So now I've got a lot of vertices that are unnecessary. I would like to make this, I will make this an even plane. How do I do that? I'm going to delete. It's in the toolbar, limited dissolve. And now it's all an even plane. I could try that for these as well. See. See, let's just select more. Let's select all. Delete, limited dissolve. So that cleaned up quite a lot of the vertices, except this one, GG. Anyway, yeah, I can put in a gate. I'm going to use the knife project for that. I'll just select this vertex, for instance. Scale Z0. Duplicate, extrude, extrude. G. Snap cursor selected. Spin. 4 steps. Spin, extrude. Something like this. Fix. Yeah. G. So this is going to be my gate, right? Well, G, I'm going to put it here, right in front of it. And now I'm going to separate this selection. It's a separate object now, but it's still selected. Now I'm going to knife project, front view, knife project. And now I have got myself a gate here. So let me select this side of the wall and just hide it. And let's do the same thing once again. Knife project, like so. Now I can just remove this object, unhide everything, and I've got a gate here. Gonna remove these faces, delete faces. So let's see if I can see. Okay, these I'm gonna Control E, bridge edge loops,
It's filling it up. GG, GG, all done. Now, I spoke about mostly designing with Blender. I didn't discuss anything about textures or animation, or I just talked about designing things. And I think that's the most important thing to do. And I would like to add some more tools to the repertoire. Front view, which is, for instance, I'm going to keep at period. I'm going to zoom in here for a moment, snap selection to grid, snap cursor to selected, delete vertices. I'm going to add a circle, for instance. Right, and so let's make it 16 or 12, like so, 12 vertices. And zooming out a bit, I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, something like that. Spin. Let's make it 4 steps. Okay, let's make it 5 steps. And then spin again. Select these. For instance, if I would like to make a chain, I'm going to extrude. Keep at plus, snap cursor selected. Duplicate, scale Z -1. And keep a plus, normals. Here's a link for a chain. Very quickly, very easily. Now I'm going to duplicate this. It needs to be moved 8 upwards. So I'm going to move it 16 upwards. And I'll show you why. I'm going to repeat this last action. So I'm going to press spacebar, repeat. There it is, repeat last, Shift R. It's doing exactly what you did last time. I moved it 16 upwards. Duplicate, move upwards 16. So I'm going to keep pressing Shift R. I keep it pressed like this. Like so. I'm going to select them all. Top view. Now I'm going to switch this off. Automatically remove doubles. Duplicate, rotate. Front view once more. Now this time I'm moving it 8 up. Like so. And here we have our chain. Very quickly. So repeat last action is for this kind of thing, it's very useful. Another feature would be screwing things around. No pun intended. Here's the screw in the toolbar. So I'm gonna snap this to grid, G, I'm gonna put it right here, like so, snap cursor selected. Now I'm going to move it, like so, extrude, extrude, and I'm going to put it here, for instance, like so. I'm going to select this, and now I'm going to select the screw. Let's say steps 16 or so. Well, what it did, it made a revolution around the Z-axis, around your cursor, and after one revolution it connects top to bottom. See, it connects beginning to end. This is your thing, and it ends up here. So, and it's doing that with each revolution. So I'm going to click a couple more times. See, that's a very nice tool. For instance, snap selection to cursor, G, spin, spin, extrude, for instance like this, duplicate, G, and I'm going to spin it, screw it, screw it. I'm going to mirror this one, scale -1. I'm going to move it over here, spin this one, screw this one as well. One more. B, remove doubles. I'm going to select these, delete faces, and here we go. A spring, normals.
So that's another great feature. There's just a few more tools to talk about for a short moment. One of them is a subdivision surface, or subsurf. I'm just going to resize this panel a bit, like so. And I don't need the top panel, just right click on the edge between these panels, right click, join area, and select upwards. And I make sure this object is selected. And now I'm going to this button with the wrench on it. This is where we find the modifiers. If I click this, you get an entire list. Some of them are familiar to you, probably, like Boolean, decimate, solidify. Those can be applied to entire objects as well. Let's see, subdivision surface. In the view, I'm going to select two subdivisions and look at how smooth this tire gets. Yeah, that's the subdivision surface. Let me just remove this for a moment and just add a cube. Shift A, cube. Just zoom in, keep at period. So I'm going to add the subdivision surface here, and the cube is no longer a cube. Just two subdivisions. I press edit mode, and this cube has become mainly more like the control points for these surfaces. I can just press G. Oh, disable G. And if I would like a flat surface, I just, turn this off. Extrude. Right click, snaps back in place. Now it's got a flat side here. And I could also just make creases, like Control E, edge menu, edge crease, and just type in 1. That's no good. I'm going to select these, Shift E, and it's making sharp edges. Now you can either edit the box to change this surface, but I can also just remove the box from view, or like so, and I can just edit these points, G, or I can just look at the box for a moment while you saw that. I can just see the box here, but if I remove this modifier, this cross here, we've got our box back, and Control Z. So the modifier, it doesn't do anything until you applied it. Now I'm going to get back to edit mode, and now there is no more modifier. It has accepted all these vertices. Now it would not be nice if I left out curves in this tutorial. I'm going to add, Shift A, curve, let's say Bezier. Now let's zoom in a bit, Control keypad, or just keypad period. This is a curve. I can edit this curve, extrude, and that's a nice tool. However, I would like to make this a tube. So I'm going to add, Shift A, mesh circle. Now let's scale it down a bit. G, put it here somewhere, doesn't matter so much. And this is a mesh, and this is a curve. I'm going to change this into a curve as well. Alt C, convert, curve from mesh. Now what can you do with this curve? I'm going to select it, and I'm going to this little button here, and I'm going to bevel. I'm just going to select the circle, and you've got yourself a tube. Now I can do anything with this tube. Extrude, G, just like a regular mesh. It just isn't a mesh. Fix,
let me see, W subdivide G, G, things like that. But one other possibility with a curve is, well, I'm going to delete everything, delete, add mesh cube, Z, B, invert, delete vertices. Let's say I'm going to make some kind of shape, B, B, fix. See, now I've got this wall, normals. So I'm going to select this edge and press P, separate selected. Now I'm going to change this into a curve. And just leave it be for a moment. And I'm going to give this curve some shape. Now let's say duplicate, snap cursor selected, extrude, extrude, snap cursor selected, G, spin. Let's say the other way around, Control keypad 7, spin, spin, top view again, like something like this for instance, extrude. Now let's make it really fun, like I'm going to snap my cursor here and B, P, separate selection. So I've got this shape and I've got this shape. Just like I did with the circle, I'm going to change this into curve as well. Alt Z, curve. And there's one important item. I have to set the origin to 3D cursor to the beginning of the curve. Now what does it do? Now I'm going to select this. I'm in this panel here. Select Cube 2. And now it changed. And I can convert it back to a mesh. But I think it's a bit big. Let's scale this down. So, like so. Alt C, mesh from curve. Join it with the other object, Ctrl J, edit mode, select all, remove doubles, normals, and I'm going to select non-manifold, just the top part, and fix it. Now this shape is wrapped around the edge of my mesh. I can delete this. And well, that's pretty tough to do with beveling, I suppose. So that's a very powerful tool as well. I guess I have to mention object origins as well. An object origin is this orange dot in the middle. In this case, the origin is located in the center of the cube. And if I press the edit mode, tab key, snap my cursor here, I could change this origin to, say, origin to 3D cursor. Now it's located at this corner. Now what does the origin do? The origin is actually the global location of the object itself. So I can press the N key, Nicholas, and here you have a transform. It was centered along in the global grid at 0, but since I switched to this corner, it's now located at 1, 1, minus 1. I could just say no, 0, 0, 0, enter. Here we go. Now it's in that. Now the object's origin is located in the center, and the object itself isn't, because I changed the object's origin. So that's what you can do with object origins. If I'm just going to scale its redefine its scale to say 0.5 along X, it will be scaled in relation to its origin. So that's an important thing. I could now, for instance, also say I could apply this, Ctrl A,
apply scale. That's Ctrl A. A very interesting tool, scale. And now the scale of the object is uniform again, and therefore now this thing is actually located here. Just switch back to this area, like so. Now its scale is 0.5. If I look at this point here, it's located at x2, which is not correct. It's at x minus 1. However, this is a local dimensions. If I go to global, you can clearly see it is located at -1, and locally it's located at -2, because the object is scaled. So if I just want to keep this object like it is, and I want to make it a uniform scale again, I could press Ctrl A, apply scale. Now the scale is 111. And then I switch to edit mode, and now this point's location locally is at -1, and globally it's also at -1. I could just move this object just along the floor and put it here somewhere. Tab key. Now this vertex is located globally at 3,3xy. Locally it's still located at x minus 1. Let's take a closer look at this panel, and in order to do that, let's go a little nuts. I do mean literally. I'm going to design a nut, and it's not as easy as it seems. So let's just remove this one and add a cylinder. Mesh cylinder. A nut is nothing more than a hexagon with a hole in it, so let's do that. A cylinder hexagon is 6 vertices, and I'm going to design an M5 nut which has a wrench size of 8 millimeters, which means a 4 millimeter radius, and it also has a 4 millimeter depth. So this is basically how the nut would look in essence. However, I have a problem here. When I go to the edit mode, and now I'm going to scroll down to mesh display, I'm going to select length. Now you can see the length of each of the selected edges. So let's just say this is now 8 millimeters, while the wrench size should be 8 millimeters, which is actually not this, but this. So how do I make this 8 millimeters? Well, there is a solution. I'll just select the top view and remove these vertices. Now I select everything, duplicate, rotate. So now I have these faces. I'll switch to object mode, and now I'm going back to this panel again, and I can fill in dimensions. So wrench size should be 8. I'll just select 8 for X and Y, 8. And you can see that the scale adjusted accordingly. So now I'll just have to apply the scale, and it's 1 uniformly. So I'll just recreate my hexagon again, rotate 30 degrees, duplicate, rotate 60 degrees the other way, and I'll just turn this on, automatically remove doubles. So this is the hexagon. An M5 nut has a 5 millimeter screw hole, so I'm going to do that as well. Sure, why not? I'm just going to add another cylinder with, well, 24 vertices, radius 2.5, that makes a 5 millimeter diameter. And all I have to do is remove these faces, delete faces, and we're almost done. However, I would like to make a nice bevel to this nut as well. So I'm just going to edge selection mode, select these edges, Ctrl B, 0.2, and I'm going to make it a bit refined, so that's it. And as for, I'm going to fix these, Alt F,
F, normals. Well, this is basically the nut, but I need another bevel, but I have to do that manually. So I'm just going to snap my cursor here. Duplicate, rotate. It's quite a job to do. Designing a simple nut, isn't it? 45 degrees. And I'm cutting a bevel manually right there. So I'm going to extrude. And I'm going to delete only faces, so that I can retain the vertices. I just snap my cursor here and spin this, and that would be for a Boolean intersection. Spin. Let's make that 6. Spin, 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 like this. Remove doubles, normals, and this is what I use to cut into the nut. So let's say intersect Boolean, and this is what a nut should look like. However, I have some vertices that I don't need, so I'll select everything, delete, limited dissolve. That removes most of the vertices. However, there's still 2 that I don't want either. GG. That looks better. I'm going to remove these faces and fix them again. Alt F. Now they're triangles. I want quads, so I'll just press Alt J. Alt join. And now they're quads. Now I want to make these the same way, so I could do this, Ctrl T, triangles, and then Alt J, and this is how it should look like. Now I can just select them all like this, but then I would be busy. So I have another selection menu, Shift G, and you don't have to remember it all because maybe you'll never use it, but I'm going to select area. Now Ctrl T, Alt J. Now that looks more like it. Now for the bottom of it, now let's just bevel this as well. Ctrl B, 0.2. Right. And front view, vertex selection. I'm gonna remove these. And let's remove the lengths as well for a moment. Extrude, scale Z -1, A, B, duplicate, scale Z -1, normals. Now, this is what a nut should look like. As for the mathematicians amongst us, and who doesn't like a bit of math occasionally, right? Anyway, there's an alternate solution to rescale this to proper size. I just pressed the edit mode tab key. At this moment, this is 6.928. Fix. Its angle is 30 degrees and this is 8. Well, in fact, I want this to be 8. So I have to rescale it. And to be precise, I have to scale it by 1 divided by cosine of 30. It's quite a mouthful, but that's what it is. Let's do it. Scale, Shift C. I'm typing asterisk, Shift 8. And then 1/cosine, double parentheses in between, and type in 30, and this doesn't work. Well, obviously, Blender does not like degrees, it needs to be radians. So I'm going to type radians, and then another set of parentheses, and here 30. Enter, and now it's 8 wide. I'm going to switch back, and I'm going to try in object mode. In the transform properties, I'm just going to left click drag these two numbers, x and y. I can just edit them simultaneously now. I'm going to type it here. Let's see what happens. 1 divided by cosine. Of course it works, but radians 30. And this is supposed to be it. Yay. Enter. Let's just apply, Ctrl A, apply the scale. And switch back to edit mode. As you can see, it's 8 wide. Perfect. Now one final comment about faces. If I switch to edit mode and look at this face, it's not a single face. It's actually, if I press Ctrl T, a lot of triangles. But it's hard to edit like this. It's much nicer to just keep it like this. But you have to remember, so I'm going to just delete these and add a plane. And if I lift up one of these vertices, it's not in the same plane anymore. So what shape is this exactly? It's actually undefined. And most programs have trouble shading it. It's a big no-no, in fact, to do it like this. It's better to just make it triangles, like so. And now you can see the definite shape, because it could be like this. And I could turn this around, or it could be like this. So whenever vertices do not occupy the same plane, make sure to triangulate them. That's always the best thing to do, so that you know how this shape looks. Otherwise you might start a 3D print or something and it would come out completely different as what you expected. So that's a final remark about faces. This concludes this exceptionally long video tutorial on Blender modeling. In advance I did say that it was a fast Blender tutorial, but it doesn't mean it's not a long one. Because, well, you can just quickly glance over the tools available, but then it's very easy to forget them in the morning and start all over again. I'd rather look at each of these tools and techniques, how to use them. And since Blender has so many tools, well, then you can expect it to be a long video. Here's a final overview. I can scroll down a little and you can see some more. Well, there's curves and modifiers. And we finally handled the transform panel as well. And there's this a couple of additional selection tools and just a couple more editing tools. I will be posting a link in the description to a full list of tools that we covered in this tutorial. I might be making a next video about textures, but there's so much more YouTubers out there that deliver some great videos on Blender. For instance, Blender Guru. He's got some amazing content, very advanced stuff, as well as some Blender beginner tutorials. And then there's Zacharias Rheinhardt. He's posting some great material as well. So, which remains me to tell you, well, good luck with Blender. I hope you enjoy it and take care.